All right, it is time now once again for the Dawn and Eli Take on the World podcast. My name is Elias Mellis, but you can call me Eli for short. And who is this incredible woman to my right that's been through so much but still keeps on keeping on?
Yeah. Well, I'm your girlfriend, Dawn Ledgerwood, and I want to welcome everybody. And
you're also an inspiration.
I guess I'm an inspiration.
You're a huge inspiration.
Thank you.
You're welcome. We're going to get that in a bit, but let's get to it here because there's so much to talk about today. Okay. Welcome back to another episode of the Dawn and Eli Take on the World podcast. This is episode number 61, and today's topic is Dawn's story, anxiety, depression, and seizures. One more time. Episode number 61 of the Dawn and Eli Take on the World podcast is titled Dawn's story, anxiety, depression, and seizures. So today, we're talking about something very real, something personal, and something a lot of people quietly live with every single day. Anxiety, depression, seizure risk, stress, fear, emotional pressure, and what it feels like when your body and mind are already carrying a lot, and then other people decide to pile on. This episode is called Dawn's Story, Anxiety, Depression, and Seizures. And this is not just a health episode. This is also about compassion. It is about understanding that there are vulnerable people in this world, people dealing with medical conditions, mental health struggles, stress, sensitivity, trauma, fear, pain. And sometimes those people become easy targets for cruel people online. People who mock them, people who exploit their struggles, people who turn someone's vulnerability into content, people who use insults, humiliation, and public pressure to get attention, to get laughs, to get reactions, to build an audience. And here at the GNA, we stand tall against that. We believe vulnerable people deserve protection. They deserve respect. They deserve dignity. They deserve peace. And they should not have to be strong every single second just to survive other people's cruelty. So today, I'm going to be asking Dawn questions about what it is like living with anxiety, depression, and seizure risk, how stress affects her, what people misunderstand, what support looks like, and why online harassment or public humiliation can be so dangerous for someone who is already medically and emotionally vulnerable. And before we get into all of this, I want to say something very clearly. This episode is not about shame. It is not about weakness. It is about honesty. It is about courage. It is about giving people a voice. And it is about reminding anyone listening, if you are vulnerable, if you are struggling, if you are overwhelmed, you are not a joke. You are not content. You are not someone else's punching bag. You matter. Your peace matters. Your health matters. And your life matters. But before we get to all of that, as always, let me start off by asking my lovely lady Dawn over here to my right, how's the past week gone for you here at the GNA, my love, which is short for Genuine Networking Association? That was a hell of an intro, huh?
Yeah. Well, everything's going really good here at the GNA. We've made a lot of progress, a lot of good connections with people we haven't spoken to in a while. So that's great. But the big thing last week was it was my birthday.
Yeah.
And we had such a good time. We had a fantastic dinner on Friday night, And then we just casually just spent the day together and hung out. And, we were out and about yesterday just doing things. It was really fun.
Let's remind people, we record this show typically on Sundays. We're recording this on Sunday, May 17th, 2026.
Yes.
It'll be released throughout the entire podcast network on Wednesday, May 20th, 2026. So just giving you a little context when Dawn is talking, this is pre-recorded. It'll go out, several days down the road. But go ahead, babe.
Yes. But also on another note, I shared that we had found out some good news, and I didn't share because I hadn't gotten permission from that person, but I can now say that one of my friends is having a baby. And
you know what, baby? We got to give him a big round of applause.
Yes, we do.
Congratulations, the baby is coming, huh?
Yes. And it's not, okay, I have friends, and then I'm friends with their siblings or their friends.
Mm-hmm.
So it's one of my extended friends is what I should say.
Okay.
Within the families of those people.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It still matters.
Yeah, but I'm protecting privacy as well.
Absolutely.
That's very important when you're online.
And in spite of what we've dealt with online, privacy is very important to a certain extent, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
absolutely.
What else, my love? What else has been going on? It's been very interesting lately here at the GNA, to say the least.
Yeah, I mean, I feel that there was a flip online a little bit on who they're attacking now and who is going to be that punching bag. And it sucks and it's stupid. Why use somebody else, especially somebody to have had mental illness, anxiety, depression?
Mm-hmm.
Why would you want to beat up on that person? Especially when everybody out there says, never go after anybody with special needs. Well, we can include mental health into a special need. So that's kind of where I'm getting at is, you got to protect yourself and really know.
And you're not trying to play the role of the victim here. Basically, you've been clinically diagnosed with anxiety, major depression. You have general anxiety disorder. You have seizure disorder. You are dealing with a lot of health issues that are out of your control, and it's not your fault.
Yes.
But it seems like the people online, some people online, they want to use this as their content, and they want to blame people in your position for creating your own issues when, these medical conditions, they can pop on anyone at any time. I mean, sure, there are things you can do to lower your risk or to... Oh, is he coming to you right now?
Mm-hmm.
So all of a sudden he has to go use the restroom right when we start. Let me turn off the camera here. And while Dawn takes the big dog out for a second, let me start off by saying this. You'll still be able to hear me, just not see me while Dawn is away. I am extremely, extremely disturbed at what I have seen online regarding how many creators treat vulnerable individuals and how they go as far as weaponize them as their content, not only to get traction, but to also make money, get donations, etc. Now, to a certain extent, I can understand if people poke a little fun at anyone. And, I understand even vulnerable people have to have some tolerance for this. But when it becomes something that is ongoing and targeted and continuous, that becomes very serious. And that's where I have the problem. Are you ready to come back on camera?
Yeah. Okay. Sorry, guys.
It's okay. Okay, he's all good now.
He's wonderful now.
Wonderful. I tried to take him out before the show started recording, but you know how he is. He waits.
Likes to make his little guest appearance and then go out and unload.
Absolutely. Unload literally, right?
Yes.
They call that the big deuce, right?
Yep.
But anyway, again, like I was saying, babe, I can understand people poking fun at people every now and then, here and there. And I can also understand them, even though it's not something that I do, I can understand even vulnerable people, having to deal with a little bit of scrutiny and criticism. That's normal. But when it becomes ongoing, continuous, and targeted, that's harassment. That is severe harassment. And even beyond the fact that it's harassment, these people are not taking into consideration that what they're doing, beyond the fact of it being bullying and harassment, is affecting someone mentally, emotionally, and other ways. They don't realize that people that are seizure prone can get seizures from excess stress based on what people online are doing. Depression can happen, and once depression sets in, who knows what can happen to that person. Anxiety, same thing. And it's not fair to these people. And I wanted Dawn to share her story in dealing with this today. And we're not going to specifically talk about certain people. We're going to talk about it in general. We're going to say, hey, people are doing this and that. Because I want to hear how it's truly affected her, and I want the world to know how it's affected her, because I think this is something that people understand, but either don't care enough about it, or they don't care to focus any content on it. And I just thought it was important to focus a whole show on this based on what you've experienced and what you continue to experience, and how it affects you despite what the people that have come at you online and used you as their content constantly and harassed you constantly, despite what they're saying, which is, okay, you respond to them so they can respond to you. Okay, I get that to a certain extent. Like, you're going to defend yourself just like I defend myself. Anyone's going to defend themselves. That doesn't mean she's harassing anyone or harming anyone. All she's doing is saying, hey, what you folks are saying about me is not true. This is not happening. Yes, some things happened in the past. That was years ago. That is not who I am now. We've mentioned to many people that we've corrected the record and we've said this is not what's happening, but you continue to state it as it is still happening, and that is wrong. And it really, really, really bugs me. It does. It really affects me. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, it is. It's really hard. You never know what you're going to feel like when you wake up in the morning, and that's the thing, is you don't really have control over it, and people don't know that on the outside. They don't know what is in my mind, what's circling around, what I'm upset about, what I'm happy about. And what people do is they interpret that by how I'm acting or how I'm sitting or how I look or whatever, if I roll my eyes, whatever it is. And I think taking advantage of, like,
your vulnerabilities.
Yes.
And then they're trying to say that you don't have vulnerabilities because you're reacting to them regarding the wrong things they're saying and doing to you.
Yes, but what I have chosen and what I would do is I just don't go back and attack them online. Because what is that going to do?
You don't go back to what?
I don't go back and attack them online.
No, you don't. Like, you and I used to be a lot more this for that. We would give them exactly what they give us, but we've even stopped doing that. But you've never, ever wrongfully attacked someone. All you've done is correct the record. Sometimes you've done it with some passion like I have. Sometimes you've overreacted like I have during the days that you used to drink. Because on top of that, Dawn used to be an alcoholic. She's talked about it before. There was not enough room in the title to add that, but we're going to add that here because she's been a recovering alcoholic and she's recovered fully for over 2 years now?
Well, it's almost 2 years.
Almost 2 years. She's made a tremendous change for the better of her life and her health. And the people online know that, but some of them still continue to choose to paint her as a drunk, to paint her as an alcoholic when she's not. And why is that? Because it works better for the story that they're trying to sell their audience, right? Or it's more so her association with me because, I was already running my YouTube channels before I met Dawn 4.5 years ago or so. And then when she came on board, she just inherited all the hate that was already coming at me wrongfully.
Yeah.
Right.
And I couldn't understand as to why this was happening because I had never done anything to these people for them to have reactions back at me. So
you were being a victim of circumstance.
Yeah, or a victim by association.
Guilty by association.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So I felt
when I've done nothing wrong in the first place.
No.
I mean, I'm not saying I'm perfect. I've said some things I shouldn't have said, but a lot of people online have tried to paint me like I'm this criminal and I'm like the worst human being that's ever lived, and I can't do anything right. Go ahead.
Oh yeah, I mean, I agree with you there. It's like we could literally end world hunger, and it still would be something for them to, say something about. But yeah, it just, to me, and my long standing with my current therapist and psychiatrist, I would say I've devoted about 70% of my time on the phone speaking about YouTube and how it's affecting me and how the depression causes my reactions and the way that people might see me in public,
It's no joke, folks.
It's no joke. I'm doing everything in my power to stay healthy, stay sober, and live my best life. Now, my best life does not include being bullied online.
I agree. But at the same time, you shouldn't have to withdraw from being online where you want to be online at times to participate with good people and people that are interesting and fun and reasonable and decent to be around, because there are a few people out there, or maybe more than a few people out there, that like to create content that attacks vulnerable people because they know they're going to be able to get reactions from them. They know they're going to be able to, in our case here, they can't get to me anymore, so they try to get to my lady Dawn to get to me.
Yes.
And that's not cool. I mean, that is not cool, especially if it's a male creator trying to get to another man's woman to get to him. That is absolutely not cool at all.
It's a bitch move.
Yeah, I wasn't going to say that, but you did. So anyway, that's what it is. That's what it is. But yeah, I mean, it really, really, really bothers me that there are people that have been doing this as their content for many years, and they've gotten away with it because, for the most part, they have not been held accountable in some legal way. It's very, very difficult to stop online harassment and bullying. The laws, especially here in the U.S., have not caught up with the online world like they have in most other countries. Most other countries, because our laws here and our freedom of speech is so loose, and our internet laws are so loose, people can get away with almost anything. If the people that were doing these things here did them in Canada or in the United Kingdom or in most other countries, if they even did 1/3 of what they're doing, they would either be fined, put in jail, or both.
Yes. I agree.
And again, I'm all for, I've said it before, I'm all for freedom of speech. And I'm all for freedom of expression and freedom of the press. But there has to be some boundaries.
Yes.
And
boundaries.
Apparently, here in the U.S. online, most people that come at vulnerable people as their content seem to think that there are no boundaries.
They push the boundaries.
They push the boundaries to the max. And when you call them out on it or you take legal action and stuff, then instead of de-escalating, they escalate more. And that's another thing. We've been dealing with some people. We're not going to mention who they are. We've been dealing with some people that we've tried to be reasonable with them. We've tried to ask them to stop. We've corrected the record. We've told them that you no longer drink. You've been recovering for 2 years. You've done a great job. Okay. And I've reached out to some of them by email and stuff. And instead of de-escalating, they double, triple, quadruple down. And they continue to state wrongful and harmful information. And at that point, the only option you really have left is to seek legal action, which is what these people don't want. But it's something they don't want, but they keep asking for it. Mm-hmm. Now, they might not be asking for it by saying, hey, Eli, I want you to sue me or you should sue me. But their actions are asking for it.
Yeah.
What they're doing is basically saying, we're asking you to sue us and keep suing us. And we've been a part of many legal battles here at the GNA. We've got some currently going on right now and some more to come down the road. We really don't want to be in court. We really don't want to sue anyone. But at this point, it's gotten to the point of where the harassment, the bullying, the attacking of vulnerable people, and it's not just you. We have another great man, Lewis Fuller, that's a part of our network. Shout out to you, Lewis Fuller, who's a vulnerable person. He keeps on getting attacked all the time. And, he does the best he can to handle it, and he handles it pretty well, and you've handled it pretty well. But we don't see what happens to Lewis once the camera's turned off or once the chat is not there.
Yeah.
We don't see well, I do, but the rest of the world doesn't see what happens to you once the camera's turned off or the chat is not there on a live stream chat. Mm-hmm. No one knows what you're going through and how it affects you and then how it affects me.
Yeah.
It's more important how it affects you, but whatever affects you affects me. Go ahead. Sorry.
Oh, no. Are we ready for question 1?
Oh, we're about to get there. I'm still in the intro mode, but we can pivot. I'm at a loss for words. I am seriously disturbed. And something needs to be done to better protect vulnerable people online. There are laws, but they don't seem to be doing much. Mm-mm. And your only option is to try to get a harassment order. And those are very hard to get, especially online here in the U.S. You call the police, they say it's a civil matter, file a harassment order, file a civil case. The cops don't want to do anything about it. I mean, it's just not right. But anyway, let's get to we have 10 questions we're going to go through here. I'm going to ask Dawn 10 questions, and after the 5th one, we're going to take your break. You all right?
Yeah.
It's a heavy subject, huh?
What? Yeah.
Okay. All right. Question number 1 is the foundation question, my love. Dawn, for people who don't understand, what is it like living with anxiety, depression, and being seizure prone?
It's really hard to live with somebody that doesn't recognize that, the triggers that the other person has in their life, if they push them, they're pushing them into that bad space in their head of depression and anxiety, or, however it affects them.
Mm-hmm.
But, that's what I think.
That's all you have to say about it?
Yeah, I think so. It's really heavy.
I know. And you know what? That's what we wanted to show people, how heavy it is.
Yeah, I don't know how I'm going to be after this show, because it is that heavy.
This is what people don't realize. They're seeing the effects of it. You know what the funny thing is? They're still not going to give a shit about it.
No. They'll take advantage of this vulnerability.
And they'll exploit this podcast, right? There are people out there, these same people that have come at you. They have come out there and tried to accuse myself of abusing vulnerable people. They're the biggest projectors. They're the biggest hypocrites. They're the biggest performers.
Yeah, basically two-faced.
They're very two-faced. It's one thing to perform comedy and stuff. It's another thing to perform at the expense of a vulnerable individual in ways that can affect and does affect their mental health.
Yeah, yeah.
You put them in a mental health crisis. And honestly, you should be ashamed of yourselves for doing this to people like my lady Dawn and other vulnerable people when you yourselves wouldn't want it done upon you or any other vulnerable people that are supporting, your ecosystem.
Yeah.
And, I'll tell you, we've been together over 4.5 years now. I've loved you every single second. I've never stopped loving you. I accepted you for who you are from the very moment I met you. I knew what I was getting into. And I just loved who you are at a core, and I still do.
Thank you. I love you too.
Thank you. You're welcome. And I know this is heavy, but I know you're strong. And I know it can still affect you. But this is what we wanted to show people. We wanted to show people that this is not an act. This is not fake. And for the people that want to continue to exploit Dawn or other vulnerable people, and you do it on my watch, I'm making a promise. This is not a threat. Mark my words. I'm making a promise that I will support anyone and help them file legal papers to stop this nonsense. I will do whatever it takes to protect the innocent from the crazies. You can mark my words on that. No joke. This is why I started the GNA, is to give every person a fair chance to be successful and live a happy and prosperous and drama-free and stress-free life.
Mm-hmm.
This is not just commentary like some people say. Some people say, oh, this is, I do commentary. I do commentary. It's fair use. And, if you can't stand the heat, get out of the kitchen. No, we can stand the heat. But you're not just throwing heat. You're throwing gas and then you're taking a match and lighting it. You're lighting fires intentionally. It's not just commentary. So it's a lot more than that.
Yeah, during the commentary, like name calling is what helps the situation. You're already digging in deep. Why are you going to sit there and talk shit about the person also as you're playing the replay in the back?
They're what?
While they're playing the replay or the restream in the back of it.
Okay, and I get what you're saying. Remember, we're on the podcast, so we got to cater this to people that don't understand. She's talking about.
I'm sorry.
She's talking about videos and live streams and live stream replays on YouTube.
Yes.
I didn't mean to be rude. There's some people that are new and maybe listening to us audio only, because we do have the video of our podcast on YouTube, but we're also audio only on Apple, Spotify, Amazon Music, your favorite iHeartRadio. The whole thing. Yeah, I know. See, I say iHeartRadio, and then she perks up. I love that. But yeah, when they're listening to or watching our live stream replays, or sometimes people will rebroadcast us in real time. You were saying that affects you when they're saying things that are not true, or exaggerated, or maybe once might have been true, but you've worked so hard to turn that around and to continue to hear the same things as you heard before you turned things around. It's just simply flat out disgusting and wrong. And it goes to show that, in my opinion, these people are heartless and spineless. They're heartless and they're spineless, babe. Go ahead.
Oh, I agree.
Yeah. All right, let's get to question number 2 here. We are at 32 minutes. Wow. All right, so number 2 is about being misunderstood. So, babe, Dawn, what do you think people misunderstand the most about anxiety and depression?
I think a lot of times they don't recognize that they have it themselves. And so they project out towards the individual that's a little vulnerable. And that's not fair. Don't take something that you're going through and deflect and project it out on somebody else.
And throw it on someone else.
Yeah.
Especially another vulnerable person.
Exactly.
Because that puts them in the worst position.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
No, that's all I really had to say. Short and sweet.
Huh?
Short and sweet.
Oh, you can expand as much as you want. I think the thing that people misunderstand the most about anxiety and depression is how it really affects someone. Even if they have it themselves, some people, like you said, will project as the way to work through their own anxiety and depression. It's like their version of medication. Instead of actually going to see a doctor and getting on medication like you have a psychologist and a psychiatrist. A psychiatrist can prescribe you the right medication. And I'm so proud of you. Over the last 3 to 4 years that you've been getting some of the best health care on the planet. We're very fortunate out here in the San Francisco Bay Area where we live. You've been put on some medication. You've been taken off some. Some of them have been reduced. Your doctors, especially your psychiatrist, has found the perfect combination, not only between medication, but vitamins, which are a lot more healthier and better to take than medication. I mean, if you have to take medication, you take it.
Yeah.
But you want to minimize the medication, which they've done that. You're still on some, but not nearly as much medication as you were. But you're on a lot more vitamins now. And how has that changed your life? The vitamin regimen, being on the right medication, having the right support, the therapist,
support,
psychiatrist, psychologist, etc.
The support is great. I'm getting the same support at every direction. So I love the fact that I do have support out there.
Okay.
What else was it?
Well, we're just talking about anxiety and depression, and we're talking about, the people that typically attack vulnerable people are vulnerable themselves. They just aren't able to come to terms with it. It's their way of coping. Their coping mechanism is by targeting and attacking other vulnerable people.
Yes.
Which is really, really sad, which goes to tell me that they've got more of a serious issue than they even realize.
Yes.
Go ahead.
Oh, well, I find that to be very relevant in all cases. People will, they'll know you've been working on something to change your life, and they will take that and negate that. Mm-hmm. They will go out there and say, oh no, oh, she acted like this one day and she acted like this another, so she must be on something, so we're going to point that out to the rest of the people.
Yeah. And here's the thing, when it comes to online content, again, you have to have some tolerance, being on the internet, being on YouTube, being on Rumble, being on Facebook, being on Reddit, being wherever you're at, wherever you're creating, you have to have some tolerance. We have that. We have more than that. We have let so much slide based on what we've experienced and been through, right?
Yeah.
But, when it continues to cross that line and it starts to affect your mental health at a very serious level, like this has really affected Dawn, and we're coming out publicly and putting this out there because we know there are other people that are going through the exact same thing that we are dealing with.
Yeah.
More so you. I'm here for you. And I'm not saying that I don't have moments of anxiety or depression, but I'm not clinically diagnosed. You are. And even if I was clinically diagnosed, yours is more severe. That's just because that's who you are. That's what you're dealing with. It's out of your control. But you've got the right support and medication and all that, right?
Mm-hmm.
But it just blows my mind. It blows my mind how content creators out there can do things to other people they wouldn't want done to them because it makes them money or gets them attention or makes them feel good. It's like their remedy, their way of coping with what they're dealing with within themselves. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Anything else you want to add to that?
No.
All right. Let's move on to number 3. We are at 38 minutes. Number 3, my lovely lady Dawn, stress and seizure risk. Dawn, how does stress affect you physically, especially with being seizure prone?
The stress really affects everything in my life. It affects my sleep, my appetite, and my mood. If I'm not eating regularly, I'm going to be cranky. It's going to come out angry,
Mm-hmm.
You just have to make sure you're taking care of yourself. You're listening to your doctors. You're following the medication regimen.
Mm-hmm.
And you just keep to that. You can find yourself in a regulated state. But that doesn't also mean that you're not going to have your breakdowns. You're not going to just get to your wit's end and just explode. And which I still do. I don't let people typically bother me, but when it's relentless and it's over and over and over again from the same group.
Say that again. You don't let people typically bother you, but when it's
relentless and over and over and over
again. And over and over and over.
Somebody has to hit a limit. And
that limit's been hit.
That limit has been hit.
It's been hit.
I mean, last week I had a meltdown, and I'm not ashamed to say it.
She did.
This whole situation, not just the content or community posts on me, it affects everything. It's so broad of how that can affect the world and what you do. These people really don't understand how real life this is for people. And I know we've done plenty of shows on suicide risk. And I do want to say that this is a risk. I'm not there yet. I don't plan to be there. But I know that there's a lot of people out there that are at their wits' end and teetering that way. And that's just not right. It's not right to push basically a stranger into this dark closet.
Right.
Why? Usually it's like, okay, I don't know you, I don't like you, so say whatever the heck you want. I'm not even going to listen. But then it's like, okay, you guys are really pushing the limit. You're saying the same thing over and over and over again.
That's the thing.
It's like, okay, I'm done. I'm just done.
Yeah. I mean, it's kind of like poking the bear.
Yes.
Like, the bear is going to be like, leave me alone. And eventually the bear is going to bite you.
Yeah.
It's going to eat you.
Yeah.
Right. And that's anything else before I jump in?
No,
I'm sorry.
No.
I didn't mean to cut you off.
No.
These people that we've dealt with on YouTube, and I've seen it happen to other people too, all over the internet, different platforms. They keep poking the bear. And they keep poking the bear because they get their reaction. It makes them money. They get hooked on the reaction, the dopamine hit, the donations, and it feeds their ego. It also makes them feel like they're worthy. And if they have depression or anxiety or something, it also temporarily makes them feel cured, right? It's their cure. Like I said, their coping mechanism, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. But put yourself in the other person's shoes and ask yourself, okay, if you were on the flip side, would you want this done to you? I've done that to many of these people out here that have come at us, come at you, come at me, come at people in our organization, right? And they deflect, and then they continue to escalate.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what a lot of these people do. We're going to keep coming back to what they're doing, like you were saying a bit ago, is they escalate because they can never be wrong. The moment that they admit they're wrong is the moment that they have to admit defeat, not only to their audience, not only to us, but most importantly, they have to admit defeat to themselves.
Mm-hmm.
These people do not want to admit to themselves that they've been defeated. And this is not about anyone being defeated. It's about just being a reasonable, decent human being.
Mm-hmm.
And taking other people's feelings, wants, and needs into consideration. Now, again, like I said, these people keep escalating. You ask them to stop. They keep escalating. You ask them to stop again. They keep escalating. You send them a formal email telling them to stop. If they keep escalating and it keeps creating emotional distress and severe mental and emotional issues, at that point, the only thing left is court intervention.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of these people have flat out come out publicly on YouTube and said, I will not stop or do anything unless the court orders me to do so.
Mm-hmm.
Now, granted, unless the court orders anyone to do anything, we don't have to do anything.
Yeah.
Right? For the most part, right? But what kind of a human being does it make someone that only does the right thing when the court intervenes and orders them to do so? People like that, in my opinion, are a big piece of shit. I mean, honestly, that's the best way I can put it. Pardon my French. But that's what these people do. They're like, okay, if you think I've done something wrong, then sue me and take me to court.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I've done that. I've sued people on YouTube. I'm still in court cases with people on YouTube. And they continue to escalate even during current and ongoing litigation.
Mm-hmm.
That's a problem.
Yeah.
That's not a problem. That's not your problem or my problem. We've done nothing. That is a problem within themselves.
Yeah.
That is a problem where they lack so much self-control. They lack emotional self-control. And there's got to be something chemically wrong or something mentally, emotionally, spiritually wrong with people that can't de-escalate even during active litigation, right?
Mm-hmm.
And people that are already in one court case and then they continue to do other things, they violate us or others in a different way, and they're asking and inviting themselves to another lawsuit with us or other people in a similar situation.
Mm-hmm.
That's the problem. Some people can't de-escalate. And happens a lot here in the U.S. because the people that create this type of content and take advantage of vulnerable people, they know where that line is and they push things to the line every time. And they even cross the line at times, but they also know when they cross the line, depending how far they cross it, will courts still take action on that? Or will courts only take action if they extremely cross the line? At what point is enough?
Yeah.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, anything else regarding?
No.
Okay, a couple more before the break. We are at 47 minutes. Online cruelty. Dawn, my love, what does it feel like when people online mock or attack someone who is already dealing with health issues?
I find it cruel. I find it disgusting. A lot of us out here in the YouTube land do put our vulnerabilities out there because we want to help people. We want to let people know that they can feel vulnerable, but still do okay in this world. So it's disgusting how these people act, really.
Anything else you want to add to that, my love?
No, you probably will pick up whatever I left out.
I know this is very, very taxing on you, and I hope you're okay with us doing this still. Okay.
Yeah.
They are disgusting. They're so disgusting that they flip it on us and say that we're disgusting. We're the ones that are doing the wrong thing. We're the ones that are causing them emotional distress and this and that, right? Really? We're not the ones that are escalating. We're trying to de-escalate.
Mm.
It's so interesting that every time we try to de-escalate, they escalate.
Yeah.
And going to court is not considered escalating. You go to court to try to de-escalate when the person or people you're suing are not don't de-escalate when you ask them nicely to do so. Most human beings, if you ask them to stop something, they're going to stop, right? Some people will just keep amping it up. And if they keep amping it up and they don't stop, the only way you can get something to de-escalate is to go to court. So going to court is not considered escalating. It's considered de-escalating. It is disgusting. It breaks my heart. I'm going to be real and look right in the camera and say it really pisses me off. And for the last 8 to 9 years that I've been on YouTube full time, creating personal development content, even before you and I got together 4.5+ years ago, I've dealt with so much of this. I've dealt with all of these types of people. I've let a lot go. I did not start taking action legally until the last year or so. Year to maybe year and a half, probably the last year. Should have taken action a long time ago. I should have never let a lot of the stuff that's happened continue for so many years. I am appalled. I am just baffled. I am, again, disgusted, like you said. Disgusted at the behavior of some creators on the YouTube platform or on the internet. And it's interesting that the ones that are the worst are here in the U.S. because our laws, even though we have harassment laws, bullying laws, cyberbullying laws, we have all the laws, but you try to apply them and the cops don't want to help. The FBI is in charge of cyberbullying. They don't want to help, right? The platforms, they have an option to report cyberbullying and harassment. You flag something that's legitimately cyberbullying and harassment, and 95% of the time, it doesn't go down. So you feel when you're in that situation like Dawn and I have been in, you feel like there's nothing you can do. You feel like no matter what you do to try to de-escalate and get the problem to stop, it just keeps getting worse.
Mm-hmm.
Your only option is legal action.
Yeah.
You can't even call the police on this type of stuff because they'll say it's a civil matter. Now, if somebody does threaten your life, because bullying and harassment is not just when people threaten your life. When people threaten your life, that's a threat. That's a death threat or a threat of violence. At that point, the moment that happens, that is a guaranteed restraining order, whether it's online or offline. But besides that, creators like the ones we've dealt with, sometimes they have made death threats, and the times they've done that, they've gotten a restraining order on them. But other times, they push it up to that line without saying the death threat. They do the next worst things, which is probably even worse because they combine all those things constantly and ongoing until a vulnerable person that's dealing with anxiety, depression, seizure disorder, and other things, right? And other people that you said that are at risk of ending themselves, right?
Mm-hmm.
People that do that constantly are going to push those people over the edge. Do you want to push those people over the edge? I'm looking at you. I'm looking at you right now in the camera. Yes, I'm looking at you. Okay, I didn't mention any names. I'm just looking at you. Do you want to push people over the edge? Do you get thrills watching people suffer? Does it make you feel better about yourself because deep down inside you're suffering? And instead of dealing with your own health issues, mental and emotional issues, you project them onto others and monetize them. And that, I guess, temporarily cures the problem until you come back the next day and do it all over again, right? Or when you have to go to bed at night facing reality of your own issues that you don't want to face.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I was going to bring that up.
Go ahead, baby.
Do you all sleep well at night?
Yeah, how well do you sleep at night? Go ahead, babe.
Yeah, it's
nailed
just
it.
Yeah. If you have no problem and empathy, that kind of stuff leads to a sociopathic life. You have no empathy for any other human beings but yourself, then, no, you can't trust that person to turn their back on you. They've already been fake with you.
Uh-huh.
So, what you need to do is just say bye.
Then you get help.
Yeah, you need help. Mm-hmm.
How can these people have empathy, babe, when they have no self-love? The problem is self-love. They come out and say, oh, yeah, I'm happy within myself. I've got a good life. I got this. I got that. You may say that. Your actions show otherwise, right?
Mm-hmm.
They say they're happy. They say they've got this great life. They got this. They got that, blah, blah, blah. But their words don't match their actions.
Yeah.
You have to look at people's actions more than their words. I'm not saying that everyone's words are meaningless, but in many cases, most people's words are meaningless. The actions are what back up the words.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? If you're going to talk the talk, you better fucking walk the walk. Go ahead.
Actions speak louder than words.
Actions speak louder than words.
Yeah. That's all I can say there.
Right. We are at 56 minutes. Should we go to the next one? Last one before the break?
Yeah.
I love how honest you're being, and I see you're really taking one for the team because I see you really want to help people. You're doing this because you tell me you want to help people.
I do.
Your story is priceless, and I know you're helping people, even though there may be a few people on the internet that have come at you and come at us that think our stories are meaningless, but just know, our stories are hitting the right people. They're starting to hit the right people, right? That's what matters more.
Yes, absolutely. Right? And you're right. I do this and I made myself vulnerable to the rest of the world because I felt deeply about letting people know the struggles that people can face in the world. And it's not just me. There are other people suffering. And if you are, maybe you can figure out what you need for help through suggestions we have, but yeah, it's just too much, babe. It really gets to be too much. I just want to shut down.
What?
Oh, I'm just saying all of this shit gets...
Yeah, you're saying you're not ready to shut the show down. You're saying that all the stuff that's happening online...
Yes.
Oh, I agree. Like, that's why I'm dealing with things in court. Like, right now, it's like there's no point even trying to reason with unreasonable people, right? I've emailed people asking them to stop politely, right?
Mm-hmm.
And... what do? They put my email out in a YouTube video with a confidentiality notice on there, and then they double, triple down. They escalate further, right? So this is the thing: you don't have any other choice with someone like that or with people like that, but to continue suing them in court. That's the only thing you can do, right?
Yes.
So number 5 before the break, babe, being used as content. Oh, what a way to end the first part of the show before your break. Being used as content. Babe, my lovely lady Dawn, do you feel like vulnerable people can become easy targets for online content?
Absolutely. Abso-freaking-lutely.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. That is what these people are. They look for the vulnerabilities in these people. They want to project their own vulnerability by making that person feel bad, and you point out the things that they've done wrong in their life, and you really just focus on that. You just, like, I feel like with me, what y'all do is talk so much about my alcoholism and all of this stuff. Well, I've shown everybody I don't act the same way. Mm-hmm. You want to threaten, say, well, I'll pull up old videos of you. Well, I apologized for that. I was not in a good state.
No, you weren't. But that was then, and this is now.
And this is now.
But they want to keep harassing you with older content. Yeah. That is no longer publicly available, right? But they want to bring it out to harass you and to try to further put you in a depressed and very, very negative mental state.
And I feel like when you take somebody's alcoholism or drug use or whatever, and you keep making fun of that, it almost pushes that person back to
Right.
the bar, to the needle, whatever, and that's, I think, their goal is to put people down so much that they go back to their vices.
Yes.
So, yeah.
So in essence, what you're saying is some people that create this content online can push people to relapse.
Yes. Relapse. That's a great word, babe.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. That's what I'm saying. That's the scary part of this world online. We've grown up and we've seen a lot of conflict in the world, but for Eli and I, we've only really seen humans in real life having conflict,
Right.
It hasn't been a predominantly online thing. So at first, of course, and we still feel this way. We don't think that that's the proper way to act. And we want to show the world that we can rise above that bad behavior and make our lives more positive so that we don't relapse, so that we don't go into the darkness,
Right.
I don't even want y'all to get to the point where you have to call your sponsor. I want you to already be in that good mindset.
Absolutely. Before the break, let me share my thoughts here real quick, babe. There are a lot of people that take advantage of vulnerable people online, especially YouTube, because YouTube is where everyone wants to be famous and successful, and it's the largest platform. The best monetization aspect is on there, etc. Ad revenue, super chats, super stickers, memberships, everything, right? And I'm not going to mention any names, but some people may know. There's one person out there that continues to target vulnerable people as their content day in and day out. And it's led me to believe, like I was saying earlier, that he himself has a lot of vulnerabilities that he hasn't been able to address. And this guy is in his early 40s, still hasn't figured all that stuff out. And how do I know? It's my opinion, of course, but how can I tell? It's his behavior. It's the constant escalating behavior and never being able to de-escalate. If I make a mistake, I'll come out and say, I made a mistake. I'm sorry. Let's move on.
Oh, yeah. Just accept the responsibility and be like, whoops, I fucked up, brain fart.
Right.
And just move on from it.
Right. Right. Like these people, what they try to do is they try to find out secrets about you or bad habits, right? And everybody has bad habits, right? But it's like they think like if you try to hide or not disclose a bad habit, they think that makes you a bad person or that you're a liar. And no, what makes you a bad person or a liar is when you constantly attack vulnerable people because you need their reaction for attention and donations for your YouTube channel. There's a big difference. Constantly weaponizing vulnerable people, for audience retention and donations on YouTube, than calling someone out because maybe they have one too many drinks every now and then, and they want to try to keep that quiet. Well, what's the big deal? And that's stupid, right? This is what this one guy takes advantage of more vulnerable people. He's taken advantage of more vulnerable people in the last 8 or 9 years that I've known him on this platform than all the vulnerable people I've encountered in my life combined. Like that's what he does.
Mm-hmm.
Why does he do that? Because I am assuming, in my opinion, he's vulnerable himself. And, people that are not vulnerable or as vulnerable, would never, ever fall for his trap, would never, ever react or respond and give him what he needs for his content or attention or whatever, right? But, yeah, I mean, I've just never seen any one person. I've seen many people do this to vulnerable people online, but this one particular person, he's come at me, he's come at you, he's come at many people in our organization, he's come at many other people on YouTube. He attacks vulnerable people intentionally to get a reaction and to make money off of it. And to also, like I said, in my opinion, make him feel better about himself because he's struggling internally, and this is his coping mechanism. It's his way to mask the pain of what he still is not able to address and resolve in his early 40s. Anyway, time for your break, my love?
Yeah.
Okay, let's turn up the camera. Dawn was waiting patiently for me to shut my mouth. I love you too. You good, my love? All right. Well, the little dog went outside the studio room. Oh, no. Dawn left him in here. They're both dogs are in here. Wonderful. All right. Well, Dawn's taking a break. I'm going to take this opportunity to remind you all that are listening to us on the audio-only podcast networks such as Apple, Spotify, Amazon's Music, My Lady's Favorite, iHeartRadio, Amazon's Audible, YouTube's Music, and all of the rest of the not as popular and not as well-known audio-only podcast networks. We are everywhere. If you do a Google search for the Don and Eli Take on the World podcast, you'll see us everywhere. But if you're listening to us audio-only and you would like to check out the video version of our podcast, go below the description of where you're listening to this audio-only. About halfway down, you'll see the link directly taking you to the video version of our podcast. That will also at the same time put you right there where our podcast is hosted on our main YouTube channel, GNA, Genuine Personal Development, which is GNA short for Genuine Networking Association. While you're there, please subscribe, bang the bell, and select the notifications so you don't miss anything. Then go below that description section of that video, a couple lines down, and you will see the link to our secondary live streaming channel, GNA2, Genuine Live Personal Development. Again, GNA is short for Genuine Networking Association. On that channel, please subscribe, bang the bell, and select the notifications because we go live there regularly. I try to walk every day, if not every day. I do a Walking with Purpose stream. You see me on camera walking at the park, walking on a trail, walking somewhere for an hour, sometimes an hour and a half, sometimes 2 hours, sometimes more. It just depends on the day and how much time I have. We also do Driving with Purpose streams at times from the road, sometimes by myself, sometimes with Don. We also do On the Couch with Don and Eli streams at times. Haven't done those in a while, but we're going to get back to them. Sometimes we do live streams from the studio in similar format like you're seeing here on the video version of our podcast on our YouTube channel. So make sure you subscribe to both of our YouTube channels join us. And join us for positivity. Join us to get away from this crazy, controversial world we live in. Listen, we understand there's always going to be controversy, right? But we don't have to make that the highlight of our lives each and every day. You don't need drama to be entertained, to not be bored. Okay? Listen, a lot of people think that personal development content, self-help content is boring. We try to not make it boring here. We make it interesting. We share real-life experiences, and we're there to support people, emotionally and spiritually, in real time, especially on our live streaming channel and throughout this podcast. We use this podcast to, allow people to get to know us more, but what we really want is to get most people on YouTube our YouTube channels, and that way you can spend more time with us, get to know us, and it's free to do so. It's totally free. You may have to watch an ad, or if you have YouTube Premium, it's ad free. Excuse me. But you can donate if you want. That's up to you. That's up to you. Right now, we don't have anything to sell to you folks. You can donate if you want our help. Well, I mean, we'll give you our help. We help people for the most part for free, depending on what it is. But right now, we're not really offering any type of paid product. We may do that down the road at some point, but we work off donations. So just come hang out with us, get to know us, become a part of a positive community. Now, Dawn is just stepping back into the podcast room. Are you feeling better, my love?
A little bit, yeah.
A little bit?
I'm good.
Okay, shall we turn the camera back on?
Absolutely.
Okay. Dawn is back. Welcome back, my love. While we were on break, we saw the background here. It says Dawn is an inspiration.
It's beautiful. Matches the beautiful flowers that your mother got me for my birthday.
Yeah, well, it's all good. It's all good in the hood. And Dawn loves sunflowers. They just happen to be the cheapest flowers to get, but they're beautiful.
Yes.
And I just wanted to do a nice background for her today, and I think this is very appropriate. I'll tell you, when I know it's a heavy subject, and when I know it's affecting you, but I know you still want to do the show because you want to help people, it hits me too. I'm feeling what you're feeling. I'm honest with you. Yes, this is an important show. We're gonna make it through, but we want people to know that it's not easy. It's not easy to be this vulnerable. She's being very vulnerable right now. I'm even being vulnerable, and it is affecting me. I can feel it in my chest. I feel it because I know it's a very touchy, intense subject, but someone has to do it. And we at the GNA have chosen to do these types of subjects. People need this kind of help. All right. Number 6, my love. You ready?
Yeah.
We are at 1 hour and 12 minutes. Support systems. That's huge.
Wow. Yeah.
Dawn, my lovely lady, what kind of support helps you when you are dealing with anxiety, depression, or stress?
Obviously, my therapist is up there on the list. But having a supportive family and group of friends that you can go to because they know how certain things can affect you and they understand when you're in that state, just to listen. And that's the great thing about a support system is they are able to listen, but they motivate at the same time. And so, I love the support system I have. It does help me get through a lot of this. When I can't talk to him about like some of
certain things.
Well, certainly like this YouTube stuff. I don't want them speculating, but it's like I sometimes feel like I can't be truthful 100% of the time because it's like I feel all of these things. I feel the way you feel about it. I know the way I feel about it. But it comes to a point where it's like I sometimes even have to set my own mental health aside to take care of, either somebody else's or, I sacrificed myself so much in my life that right now I'm done.
Let me ask you something. Were you going to say something else? I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, go ahead.
Again, we're not mentioning names, but typically, whenever anyone is dealing with this online, a group of people are involved, a community is involved, typically run by one or two, channel owners on YouTube, for example. What was I going to say? Oh, yeah. It typically involves one person in that group. One person in that group is the main culprit. And there's one person in the group that's been coming at you and I for years. A main content creator. He is relentless and never stops. And you could take the rest of his entire group of 30 or 40 or 50 people, whatever he has in his group. You can take all 50 of those people, combine all their negativity, and it still doesn't come close to how negative he is and what he does. He is extremely relentless, extremely controlling, extremely entitled.
And disgusting.
Disgusting. He escalates constantly.
Lies.
He projects constantly.
He lies constantly.
He lies constantly. Defames constantly. And then he tries to always flip it on the other side, right? And he's done this all his life because he's 41 years old. He's done this all his life. He's gotten away with it for the most part because I've seen how he operates. He scares most people away. He's very intimidating.
Mm-hmm.
He uses intimidation tactics by threatening people to back off. And he does it a lot of times on YouTube.
Or he says, if you don't donate, then you're out of here.
Right. Now, that sucks, but that's just being a jerk. What I'm talking about is he threatens people that are about to make him look bad publicly, or people that are about to take legal action on him because he's violated people that much. Like this guy, I've given him so many chances. You've given him so many chances. A lot of other people have given him so many chances. He cannot de-escalate. He continues to basically ask to keep getting sued. Again, we're not mentioning names, but he's a great example. But there are more people like him than just him. He's a great example within our group. But
I was going to say, not all people on YouTube are like this.
They're not. No.
We have our own community of that acts as a great support system because they see it. They've been receivers of it. All of us know what this one person is capable of doing. And so that's where, we can talk to each other, talk through things,
But he's able to scare most people away.
Most people.
Through intimidation and blackmail tactics, in my opinion. Now, I'm just speaking in my opinion here. But I've talked to other people. He's definitely blackmailed people. In my opinion, that's what they've told me. And he's threatened people. And, before I sued him, basically he was threatening me. He keeps threatening me to drop the suit. And I'm just not. I'm not easily swayed. I'm not easily scared. I don't take threats lightly. I'm not going to be played by someone that's been using blackmail and threats as a coping mechanism. That's another thing. This guy uses blackmail and threats as a coping mechanism because he knows what he does to get attention and make money and to stay relevant online and offline is wrong, and it has legal consequences. A lot of the things he does and the way he lives his life, especially online, they have legal consequences. And in order to protect what he's got going on, when he even knows he crosses the legal line and people start to take action, again, he threatens them. He threatens them with blackmail and other things. A lot of times he and other people that weaponize people in the same way is they will love bomb people that come to their group. They will ask these new people for private, sensitive information. Sometimes it's been indecent photos. Let's put it that way. A lot of times these people ask for indecent photos, not fully clothed. And some people will end up giving that, right? And guess what? That's blackmail leverage right there.
Yeah.
You ever screw the guy over down the road, that blackmail is coming. Right?
Mm-hmm.
That blackmail is coming. People like that will set you up in that way because they know at some point, based on what they're doing, it's going to upset you, or you're going to feel like this is not what I signed up for. And when you try to leave, they're going to try to keep you with that blackmail, which is those indecent pictures. That's how this guy is. And then whenever people have called him out on it, he's saying, oh, you're defaming me. No one's defaming me. No. You're just a piece of, you know what. Anyway, shall we move on to the next one?
Yeah.
Number 7. We are at 1 hour and 21 minutes. The role of boundaries. We keep coming back to this every week. Have you noticed that boundaries?
They play a huge part in everybody's life.
They play a huge part in everything. And I used to not like that word, but I guess it's my favorite word now. Are we okay down there with the dog?
We're fine.
Okay. Were you looking at him?
Yeah.
Okay. So, Dawn, how important are boundaries when someone is dealing with serious stress or health issues?
Boundaries are extremely important in almost every relationship you have. But when you're in a vulnerable state, you're in a mental health crisis, that's where, it's tough on people. Like we say, we don't know what they're going through every day of their lives. What kind of, if they got bad news or sad news or whatever. If you can't be able to just express your own feelings without the fear of reprimand or anything, it's just not fair. And when these people come in and then they decide, oh, I really don't agree with what you're doing, sir, that's when he does pull out the blackmail. That's when he does push them into a corner, and that's not right to do to people, period.
It's not. Anything else you want to add to that, babe?
No.
It's funny because the people we've been talking about. Yes, it's one person. He knows who he is, and I don't care. So I'm not here to mention names or poke at anyone. I'm just stating what's going on. A lot of these people that do this, including him, they try to publicly say to their enemies that their enemies have no boundaries, but it's actually they that have no boundaries. You, sir, have no boundaries, but you like to point the finger at other people and say that they have no boundaries. You clearly are misaligned within yourself. It's either intentional or you're just misaligned. I think it may be a combination of both. Part of it's intentional for performance on YouTube. The other part, I think there's some kind of imbalance where I just think he and others like him are just so imbalanced that they don't even realize how hypocritical they're coming off.
Mm-hmm.
I think that this guy and others like him are in constant fight or flight mode because that's what I'm seeing. When somebody overreacts to people that are just standing up for themselves in normal, reasonable ways and objecting to this guy's lies and stuff like that, when someone like him constantly overreacts, it just goes to show me that there is something going on internally that is affecting that person, and they're in constant fight or flight mode, trying to fight people off. And they're trying to fight people off that they instigated in the first place. And then another thing, people like this guy, they like to point at everyone else besides themselves and say, everyone else instigates things, not me. No. You're the instigator every single time. You're the instigator because without people reacting to you, you have no content. You have no donations, right? Mm-hmm. You're never going to admit that, but that's the truth of the matter, right? And maybe you're not even capable of admitting that because maybe you really think what you're doing is right. Maybe there is a possibility. We don't know. We don't live in his head. There is a possibility that what he thinks he's constantly doing, or other people like him are constantly doing is right. Maybe they think that. Maybe they truly think that. And if that's the case, the problem is far deeper and more extensive than anyone can help us. And anyone can help him, let alone us. Like this needs therapy. This needs serious, psychological and therapeutic type of work.
Yeah.
What do you think?
I agree.
Anything else, babe, regarding number 7? Just 3 more to go. We're at 1 hour and 26 minutes. Number 8, babe. What people should not do.
Obviously, pick on the vulnerability of people. I mean, you can't go out and purposely look for people's failures. In this world, we should be encouraging people. We should be accepting that a failure is actually a lesson to learn, and just move forward in a positive way. We all have to live together on this planet. Why must we fight? Why must we be this petty to even now fight on the computer? It's like, where is this world going?
That's a good question. I've never seen gas prices this high. I thought they were high the last time they hit an all-time high of mid-60s. Now they're over $7 a gallon in many places, and they're high 6s where we're at. But yeah, the question was, I read the topic, but the question was, what should people not do when someone is vulnerable or struggling? You pretty much answered it. You did.
Mm-hmm.
When someone is vulnerable or struggling, you don't want to continue antagonizing them. This one guy, when people are vulnerable or struggling, that's when he goes in for the kill, figuratively speaking, of course. He goes in for the kill shot, figuratively speaking. Okay? And that's the thing I can't stand about him, because he takes advantage of people's vulnerabilities when they're most vulnerable, because it benefits him again in many ways. It benefits him as his coping mechanism. It benefits him to continue keeping his audience around and activated. It benefits him to continue getting donations from that audience. And the funny thing is, and it's not even funny, it's just, the funny part is that, the people are similar to him in his audience. But it's not funny that they're all vulnerable people. All these people are vulnerable people, because vulnerable people attract vulnerable people. Right?
Mm-hmm.
Like attracts like. And I'm not saying there's anything wrong being vulnerable, right? But when someone's exploiting vulnerability, that's wrong.
Mm-hmm.
That's flat out wrong.
Yes.
And that pisses me off. And that makes me want to fight harder to stop people like that, and to stop people that are vulnerable from being harmed by people like this, that exploit that. Yeah, I'll tell you, I'm at a loss for words. I'm saddened. I'm deeply saddened. I'm really, really tired of people like that. And I'm really tired. I'll say it. I'm tired of this one person and how they continue to just take advantage and harm people. And he probably doesn't even realize he's harming people. He doesn't probably realize that he's affecting vulnerable people.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, legitimately, he may not even realize what he's doing. I don't know. What do you think before we move on to the next question?
I think he knows that he's going after people's vulnerability. It's a projection, definitely. He wants it to put it out there like, okay, yeah, I'm going to say this about you, but if you say anything about me, I'm going to come back tenfold.
Right. See, he could take this, even though we're not mentioning his name, he could take this and say, well, you're talking about me, so, sure, you can talk about us, but you can't harass us, you can't defame us. You can't sit there and target and attack vulnerable people. You can do regular commentary. You can say, hey, what Don and Eli are saying is not true, even though it is true. What we're saying here is 100% true. That's a very vulnerable show. He's not even capable of doing vulnerable shows. He can do commentary, and he can respond and say, this is not true. This is the truth of the matter. But what he does, instead of respond to the substance, is he attacks, and he exploits, attacks, and I forgot the other word. But he exploits and he attacks and he escalates. Sorry, he escalates. He doesn't de-escalate. He escalates. Right? Basically, when he feels he's about to get stopped, he becomes louder.
Yeah.
You become louder, sir. And then the funny thing is, when I'm at the parks, I have a loud voice. Because I project my voice. I'm a loudspeaker. That's just who I am. Normally. He's the one that amplifies his voice and escalates harder when he's not getting his way, or when someone tries to stop his unlawful nonsense, right?
Yeah.
But then he'll come back and say, oh, well, you yell at the park with a selfie stick and a camera. I'm just passionate. I'm just doing a show to try to help people. A show full of substance. Anyway, anything else, babe, for number 8?
Nope.
Number 9. You're going to love this one. We're at 1 hour and 32 minutes. So you're getting close. Yeah. Oh, is he coming back to you?
He just wants camera time now. No kisses. No.
Bochi.
Time to get down.
Bochi.
Yeah. Thank you, son. He's like, I wanted you to see that I was in the podcast
Bochi wanted to have some camera time.
Yeah, that's cool. All right, let's move on.
1 hour and 33 minutes. Number 9, GNA's position. The Genuine Networking Association's position, babe. So, Don, what do you want people to know about what do you want people to know about where GNA stands when it comes to vulnerable people being targeted? This is huge.
Well, I think that we have kind of gone over this in a broad area as like we're putting out there here. We have vulnerabilities. We have things that bring us down that we have no control over in our lives. Mm-hmm. We just, at the GNA, we want you to know you're not alone. That there are ways to help yourself, and it doesn't have to be through us. It might just be our message that, kind of kicks you in the butt to get up and do something. And that's great. People want to say, well, how many people have you helped? Well, I can't put a number on that because I don't know how many people that we have helped that have just not reached out.
Because we've helped them for free.
Yes.
The problem with them is that we're not making much money helping them. We've had some donations, but what these people don't understand is that, we don't necessarily need to make money to help people. Yes, we are trying to figure out a different business model for the organization to bring in some extra money. But right now we've been working off donations, and we're still building. We're still, trying to get the organization noticed. And a lot of the things that have been going on YouTube, based on many of the people we've been talking about, without mentioning their names, obviously, it's affected us. It has affected us. It's affected my lady to the point of where there are days where she shuts down, and it's not that she doesn't want to help me, and she's not mad at me. She shuts down because it does affect her. It affects her mental health, right?
Yeah.
And I'll tell you, it affects my mental health too. Now I've learned to tune out most of it, and I'll tell you, there are times where even when I'm saying I'm not bothered by it, I am. I think any normal human being would be bothered by this dumb stuff, right? That some creators are doing, especially attacking vulnerable people constantly as their content source, right? But yeah, the GNA, one of its primary core aspects on why I started it is to give everyone a fair chance to be successful. And what people have been taken advantage of and stomped over the most. This not only happens online, it happens in the real world. Vulnerable people.
Yes.
When I used to run in-person networking events, I saw so many vulnerable people get taken advantage of, right? And I said, screw it. There were some great networking groups I went to. There were a lot of them that were all about themselves. They were all about the organizer making money with their business. Yeah, they allowed other people to promote their business, but it was more about their business. I wanted to create an organization where it's about everyone, not just me. I'm a part of it. Yes, I made money. I sold a lot of insurance policies, through the GNA, but I helped a lot of other people sell their stuff. And even when we weren't selling things to each other, we would refer business to each other. We became a big resource group. You can never have too many resources, right? Just because you don't sell someone something doesn't mean they're not a valuable resource or a valuable human being. A lot of these people, like this guy that's been coming at us, he thinks that people aren't paying him, or if he's not making money and people aren't paying him, they're not a valuable resource. Everyone is a resource. Every person, whether they pay you or not, is a resource.
Every person could be a potential resource, whether it's just like as simple as you meet somebody and then you find out their spouse is like a pediatrician and you've been looking for that, or, a veterinarian. Like, I just think, that's how you network. That's how you get ahead, to meet the people that you need to meet to do that.
Right. Anything else, my love?
No.
All right. We've got one more here. We're at 1 hour and 38 minutes. Number 10 is always the power question, baby. Are you ready, Dawn, for the power question?
It on.
My lovely lady, Dawn.
Bring it on.
So, Dawn, what would you say to someone watching who is dealing with anxiety, depression, seizures, or serious stress? Let's throw in alcoholism in there too, and feels like nobody understands.
You're not alone. You're not alone in this world. There are many times that I felt like people just don't understand why I do the things I do. Or, you know what? I didn't even understand the effects of what I was doing. We'll use my drinking. I'm like, well, I'm sitting at home and I'm drinking by myself or with my partner here. How am I hurting anybody else in my life? How's that affecting how so-and-so's day is going? But I didn't realize that every time I was doing that, these people were just more and more disappointed. And, trust was lost with a lot of these people. So, being vulnerable, you're able to just say, hey, I've messed up. I made a mistake, but I've learned how to turn that around. and I don't feel so alone or so stupid or whatever. When you reach out to other people, like, I just guess, reaching out to people, talking to people, that's the best way to get ahead in life. I really do. That's what businessmen do. That's what other, employers do, That's just what I'm kind of saying.
Yeah. Well said. What would I say to somebody watching who is dealing with anxiety, depression, seizures, serious stress, alcoholism, etc., and feels like nobody understands? This is exactly why I started the GNA. You need a group of people you can trust, that you can talk to privately, and trust that your dirty laundry won't be aired on YouTube or another social media platform as content and for money. That's who we are. Now, other people that are coming at us would say otherwise. We've never, ever, ever aired anyone's personal stuff unless they wanted us to use them as an example to help other people. Nothing wrong with that. Okay?
Agreed.
There's no way you can help people without personal experience and without sharing stories of personal experience. A lot of people like to call that a recommendation, right? Or what do you call it? A review,
mm-hmm.
Right? If you have no reviews or recommendations in some capacity, you can't build trust. People can't get to know you,
mm-hmm.
Right?
Yeah.
But one of the core values of the GNA is trust. Before I started the GNA, when I first started networking, I became a member of the San Jose Chamber of Commerce, the largest chamber in California and the third largest chamber in the country, 2,500 members. Great experience, met a lot of great people. I was a part of their business referral network group. They called it BRN. They had many of them. I was a part of one of them. There's like 10 or 12 people in there, one person per industry, and you share leads and referrals, right? And we would have a meeting once per week. After I decided to leave the chamber, and a few other people left the chamber as well, they dissolved the business referral network group, and I decided to keep it going, and I made it my own. This was before the GNA was started. And I changed the name from the BRN, Business Referral Network Group, to TBA, which stands for Trusted Business Associates. TBA, Trusted Business Associates. And because I had been to a bunch of networking events even outside of the chamber, and I was just starting to see how some people run their networking events. They're all about the organizer and not about everybody, all the participants. And then after that, I think it was about maybe 4 or 5 months later, or maybe 3 to 4 months later, is when I started the GNA. And then that group for a little while until we ended up shutting it down. Trusted Business Associates was a GNA group, right? We also, back then, I would put the GNA star on any events we would recommend. I would meet a lot of organizers. I would go to their events. I would feel it out. And I would see if it was worthy for us to put the GNA star on there as a GNA recommended event. I would put on our website a GNA recommended event, or I'd share the flyer on Facebook. I'd create a flyer and I'd put the star. I'd say a GNA recommended event. And when you would see an event with the GNA star saying a GNA recommended event, a Genuine Networking Association recommended event, you knew that you were going to be treated the same way there as our events, or I would not recommend it.
Yeah.
That's how important trust is to me. Now, a lot of people that have come up. Not a lot, but this group, it seems like a lot, but it's 30, 40 people, and they're just very loud. And they've kept us stuck in their ecosystem for a while, but we've finally started to get away from it. Okay, a lot of people say we're not trustworthy. We are trustworthy. That's the core premise of the GNA organization. Without trust, there's nothing. We want you to know that when you're dealing with us, you're dealing with trustworthy people. We have other people that are on our executive team that have trust issues. We all, even I can have trust issues. You have trust issues. We all have trust issues, right? Some more than others. Our GNA executive, Tia, was going through a lot. She's talked about it, so we can say it. She lost her husband. She was dealing with depression. She was struggling, and I don't blame her for that. She was looking to try to find a group of people that she could reliably talk with privately and not have it be front page news of somebody's YouTube live stream, right?
Mm-hmm.
And she found us. And Dawn helped her, and I've helped her, more so Dawn. I mean, I've done everything I can, but having Dawn's been great because sometimes the ladies they can feel more comfortable talking about lady stuff amongst ladies. That's all good, right? We have Sandra Palacio, fantastic. We have ODN. We got some other people coming on board right now, and I'll tell you, they all have had trust issues. And it took them a while to trust us. But now they realize what we've been all about all along. The GNA is about trust. And it's about being there for you. Emotional support. Okay? It's about encouragement. It's about uplifting you. It's about motivating you and inspiring you to become the best version of yourself that you can be. Okay? But you have to want to turn things around. You have to be willing to turn off the noise. You have to be willing to walk away from content and content creators that are selfish, egotistical, immature, and creating Jerry Springer type content, but doing so by weaponizing vulnerable individuals. Because they're the ones that are going to more often react and react harder in ways that they need to use as their content and to make money off of. Anyway, that was heavy.
Yeah.
We are at 1 hour and 48 minutes. Final thoughts, babe. And then I'm going to read my final thoughts, and then we're going to wrap it up. How's that?
Sounds great. Alrighty, final thoughts. Thanks again for everybody that's been watching or listening. This has been a heavy subject for me. I'm really trying to regulate how I feel right now. I've got a lot of emotions, a lot of feels going on. And I know that right now I have enough tools to manage these.
Enough tools in your tool belt, right?
Yes. And I know I can eventually, I hope that I can eventually overcome some of this, but I have had days or times that I'm just like, why? Why me? Why are you picking on me? What did I do to you?
Even though you know it's not you.
Yeah. But it's just that vulnerable, why? Why? I don't get it, And so, yeah, basically, that's it.
Anything else, my love?
No, like I said, thank y'all for being here and watching or listening with us.
Absolutely. And now, before we start wrapping this up, babe, I think what this episode really comes down to is compassion, because there are a lot of people in this world who are struggling quietly. People dealing with anxiety, depression, seizure risk, stress triggers, pain, fear, medical issues, emotional exhaustion. Oh my, that's my favorite, right? Not my favorite to deal with, but it describes me the best.
And that's how I'm feeling right now.
Baby, you know what? Whenever I'm not up to doing something, remember this phrase, emotional exhaustion.
Yeah.
That can wear you down. You can have 8 hours of sleep, be refreshed, and somebody wears you down emotionally. That first hour you wake up, you feel more tired after that first hour than after getting 8 hours of sleep, or more tired than before the night you went to bed getting that 8 hours of sleep. Emotional exhaustion, we need to do a whole topic on that. That is huge. Coming soon.
Yeah, that affects people's sleep because it's on their mind. It causes insomnia and
they can't turn things off.
They can't turn it off.
They can't shut down.
Yeah.
Right,
it's really hard for them to do so.
It's hard for them to shut down. Unlike the computer, you just hit the little button and it shuts down.
Nah.
Windows shutdown button. But anyway, and a lot of those people, babe, are trying their best. They are trying to live. They are trying to function. They are trying to get through the day. They are trying to protect their peace. And the last thing they need is someone using their vulnerability as entertainment. The last thing they need is someone mocking their past, mocking their health, mocking their emotions, mocking their fear, mocking their struggle, because vulnerable people are not weak. They are human.
They're human.
Right.
Yes. We all have vulnerabilities.
Right. And sometimes the strongest people are the ones who are carrying battles no one else can see, just like you.
Yep.
You carry battles no one else can see. I'm so proud of you of how well you've handled those battles. You've turned it around. So if you're listening right now and you're dealing with anxiety, depression, seizures, stress, health issues, or emotional exhaustion, oh man, please hear this. You matter. You deserve peace. You deserve respect. You deserve support. You deserve to be protected from people who want to exploit your pain. Sir, listen up. People deserve to be protected from people like you that want to exploit others' pain. Listen to that very carefully. I ain't playing. I'm not playing. And if someone is targeting you, if someone is humiliating you, if someone is using your vulnerability against you, that is not your fault.
No. Not at all.
Protect yourself. Ask for help. Set boundaries. Lean on people who love you.
Yes.
And do not let cruel people convince you that your pain is entertainment. Are you listening, sir? Are you listening to this? Is it sinking in? Or is everything commentary to you? Even if it hurts people, tremendously gives them emotional distress, mental anguish, could cause them seizures, could cause them depression, or further push them into something.
Cardiac issues.
That
blood
too,
pressure.
or could make it what we'll call a 988 issue.
Yes.
You know what a 988, that's what we can call that now. We call it a 988 issue, right? What you do, sir, could push people to want to end themselves. And I will not allow you or anyone else to do that to anyone, ever. Mark my words. Here at the GNA, babe, we believe in standing tall. We believe in protecting peace. We believe in defending vulnerable people. And we believe that kindness is not weakness, sir. Are you listening? Are you listening? It is strength. So protect your mind, protect your body, protect your peace, and never forget you are more than what you are going through. Babe, you are more than what you are going through.
Amen.
Amen. And you know what, babe? Just like I always say at the end of each show, don't take
life for granted.
Don't take life for granted. And with that being said, it is time to start wrapping this up at 1 hour and 56 minutes. It's time to start wrapping this up. Oops, that was the wrong song. Let's try that again. Here we go. There we go. Oh, I was trying to play some boogie music there. All right. You've been listening to the Don and Eli Take on the World podcast. This has been episode number 61, and the topic, babe, was Dawn's story, anxiety, depression, and seizures. One more time, episode number 61 of the Don and Eli Take on the World podcast was about Dawn's story, anxiety, depression, and seizures. All right, babe. There are many ways people can catch the podcast in the future. If you're listening to us audio only on the audio only podcast networks such as Apple, Spotify, Amazon Music, your very favorite,
iHeartRadio, and iHeartRadio.
iHeartRadio times 3. My lovely lady Dawn loves iHeartRadio, and so do I. We're also on Amazon's Audible, and we're also on YouTube's Music. On YouTube's Music, you can listen to us or watch the video because YouTube Music's owned by, YouTube/Google anyway. It's all good. If you listen to us audio only and you want to catch the video version, go to the description about halfway down. You'll see the link there that'll redirect you back to our main channel, GNA, Genuine Personal Development. Make sure you subscribe, bang the bell, select the notifications so you don't miss a thing. Then go below that description section where you'll see the link to our secondary live streaming channel, GNA2, Genuine Live Personal Development, where we go live, if not every day, almost every day, Walking with Purpose streams, Driving with Purpose streams. We've got On the Couch with Don and Eli. We've got in-studio live streams and a whole lot more. So, make sure you subscribe to both our channels and keep in touch. With that being said, it's time to go. Have a good one. Take care. And as always, babe, be good to each other.